Uvalino is one of the most fascinating grape varieties tied to Italian microhistory, not because it shaped global commerce like Sangiovese or Nebbiolo, but because its survival nearly depended on memory, reputation, and local cultural guardianship. This grape grew in the region of Piedmont for centuries, specifically in rural belts where smaller estates cultivated wine not primarily for trade, but for lineage tradition, local pride, and preservation of household identity. At the beginning of the 20th century, Uvalino was still part of the countryside viticultural landscape. Farmers grew it, blended it in local wines, and considered it suitable for storage because of its unusual tannin configuration. But industrial viticulture, the shift toward standardized grapes with predictable yields and globally recognized flavor profiles, gradually removed Uvalino from vineyards. Where Nebbiolo, Dolcetto, and Barbera scaled upward due to enological predictability, Uvalino shrank into near extinction. Its decline did not result from taste rejection, but logistical displacement. Uvalino ripens later than dominant Piedmont varieties. Its skins thicken toward harvest season, and its seeds require extended maturation cycles. Farmers trying to remain competitive needed grapes that could ferment uniformly, harvest easily, and enter distribution faster. Uvalino refused that schedule. It demanded time by design. And wine that demands time seldom survives in markets obsessed with circulation. At one point, Uvalino existed primarily through scattered vines, kept alive not because buyers demanded it, but because families refused to uproot centuries-old vines. Oral tradition shows that some villages considered Uvalino a winter grape, capable of entering fermentation when temperatures naturally dropped. This seasonal alignment meant that fermentation processes happened slowly, organically, without modern refrigeration or temperature-regulated facilities. Its tannins polymerized unusually well under cold cellar conditions. In the latter half of the 20th century, heritage viticulture movements emerged. Italy began to recognize the value of preserving regional grapes not merely as agricultural commodities, but as cultural biodiversity. Researchers and enologists redocumented older vines, cataloging forgotten grapes still living through backyard plots. Uvalino resurfaced. The revived interest revealed why ancient households valued it. Uvalino produces wines with deep structural backbone, not heavy like fortified wines, not thin like early harvest vintages, but dense, aromatic, and extraordinarily stable across long aging cycles. Where many wines peak within 5 to 8 years, Uvalino expresses complexity after 10, 15, even 20 years of proper storage. The grape skin contains high tannin density. These tannins interlock with pigments during prolonged maturation, altering mouthfeel and oxygen interaction. While many high tannin varieties need blending partners, Uvalino does not collapse under its own structure. Instead, its density transforms into silkiness. Wine scientists describe its oxidative pathway as slow but fertile, meaning it requires extended time before reaching equilibrium. The aroma profile, post-aging, distinguishes Uvalino from commercial parallels. It leans toward dried violet, dark plum, faint herbal resin, cured wood, and subtle spice-laden undertones. Unlike young wines dominated by fruit expression, aged Uvalino occupies a wider aromatic field: earthiness, preserved fruit tones, quiet sweetness without sugar, and the faint signature of cellar oak. One reason the grape nearly disappeared stems from difficulty integrating it into accelerated production cycles. Modern enology prizes grapes that saturate markets annually, but Uvalino demands multi-year patience. This shifts economic rhythm entirely. Producers must think in decades, not seasons. This characteristic forced a philosophical question in modern Piedmont estates: should wine remain a fast-moving commodity or return to ancestral timing? Uvalino symbolized the latter. When small estates revived Uvalino, they revived the slow architecture of agricultural timelines, soil cycles, fermentation silence, cellars breathing oxygen over years rather than months. Additionally, Uvalino's genetic fingerprint is distinct within northern Italy. Despite belonging to the larger Vitis vinifera family, it has traits often associated with distant Balkan and high-altitude grape lines: thick phenolic skins, strong oxidative resistance, and high anthocyanin and stability. It is a scientific reminder that grape domestication was never linear. It sprawled through regions, trading attributes through hybridization events, climate adaptation, and cross-pollination. Uvalino's modern comeback does not replicate commercial scale. It remains small, controlled, and identity-centric. Many bottles produced with Uvalino remain region-exclusive, made by estate families who treat vineyards as cultural archives. Wine buyers who search for Uvalino typically do so for intellectual reasons. They want wine with origin, story, and non-standard temporal structure. Slow wine culture built its philosophy around grapes like Uvalino. The movement suggests that true wine quality reflects land continuity, not supermarket logistic schedules. True taste arrives after waiting, storing, revisiting. Uvalino becomes textbook representation for this thesis. Think of it not simply as a grape, but as an argument. It argues that preservation matters, that agricultural memory deserves protection, that vineyards function as cultural manuscripts, that time creates depth unavailable through acceleration. Wines made from Uvalino taste like arc of time, first robust, then softened, then intellectual, forming not merely beverage but narrative. That narrative has structure: earth, winter, cellar, oak, dust, patience. In domains like gastronomy, Uvalino can pair with strong flavors, aged cheeses, dark spice braises, long-reduced sauces, root-based winter dishes. Younger vintages exhibit sharper acidity, older vintages mellow into round warmth. Chefs appreciate not only pairing but philosophical parallelism: slow dish meets slow grape. And here lies the enduring point: Uvalino survived because culture chose to remember it. Not because science funded it, not because commerce demanded it, but because families refused disappearance. When we talk about grape extinction, we often refer to technical loss. But what actually disappears is memory. Uvalino resurfaced because memory outlived machinery. Now it stands again in Piedmont hills, a quiet lineage restored rather than reinvented. Modern agriculture searches constantly for rapid, uniform, transportable fruit. Uvalino answers with refusal. It remains local, temporal, resistant to industrial compression. Wine made from Uvalino does not exist to circulate fast. It exists to age in presence: 4 years, 8, 12, 20. That patience, that distance from urgency, defines Uvalino's identity. The grape is not simply consumed, it is revisited. It is not bottled for immediacy, it is bottled for evolution. Uvalino is proof that agricultural survival can exist outside commercial dominance. A grape saved by memory, matured by silence, and valued not because many drink it, but because those who do understand that taste takes time.